Hi, and thanks for watching the 5th episode of my Chile road trip series. In this video, I'm going to show you my favorite place I went to on my Patagonia road trip. In the last episode, we crossed into Argentina and our first stop was El Calafate. After some activities, we headed to El Chaltén. Before we left El Calafate, we grabbed a cup of coffee. I think it was the tiniest cup I've ever gotten. Didn't even clear the cup holder. But it was good to have a proper cup since most of our Airbnbs did not have coffee makers. We actually used my friend's AeroPress most of the time, which worked out pretty well. It's super easy to pack and portable, and if you're a coffee drinker like we are, then I would recommend you bring one if you don't want to rely on instant coffee. Okay, back to El Chaltén. On our drive, we saw a ton of dead guanaco, even more than on our drive to El Calafate. There were tons surrounding bushes, and at one point we passed 8 dead ones in a row draped over a fence. It was like a guanaco graveyard out there. They're like littering this field. There's like dead guanaco all over. What the? They're all over that hillside right there.
There's so many churches that preach about like, just turn from your sin because you're gonna go to hell. And it's like, well, why do I like to sin?
Oh my God, they're
why does
all
sin
over.
feel you know, like, why do I like to do these things?
When we got into town, I immediately liked it better than El Calafate. It was so beautiful there, and there was just a mellow, low-key vibe. Most of the people were hikers, and we loved our Airbnb. Definitely the nicest one of our trip. You can tell they're building it up there with new construct buildings and lots of little breweries and eateries. And I'm sure if I went back there in a few years, it would probably look changed and built up even more. We went for an afternoon hike to get our legs warmed up for the next day. It was a really pleasant hike, and we ran into a couple from San Diego, our first American encounter. They had been traveling around Argentina and told us they haven't encountered almost any Americans, and we said we noticed the same thing too. With my bad ankle and my friend's bad knee, we decided we wanted to only do 5 to 6 mile hikes. So the next day we headed out for the Laguna Capri Loop. One of the more popular hikes in this area is the Laguna de los Tres, where you get beautiful views of Mount Fitzroy. Because the round trip is about 14 miles, that wasn't even a consideration for us. We could not have picked a better day to hike though. The skies were clear and there was almost no wind, which was a real treat. We grabbed some pre-made sandwiches at a cute little market on the way to the trail and we began our hike. The hike to Laguna Capri was really pleasant and a very easy hike. They do have bathrooms once you get to the lake, but it's kind of like pit toilets and they were locked up. So if you have to go pee, you'll have to find a private bush somewhere. Since we were feeling really good, we decided to just keep going on till we hit the next campground. The trail felt much quieter as we went past Laguna Capri, and we had great views of the Fitzroy the whole time. It can get hot, so make sure you are wearing layers. You might feel cold starting out, but I spent most of the hike in a sports bra because I was so hot. Even the day before, my friend and I kept taking our layers off because we were so hot, but strangely, everybody else was really bundled up. On the way to the campground, we passed someone who said we had about 500 meters until the campground and about an hour to Laguna de los Tres. We ate our sandwiches, and because that portion of the hike was also very easy, we thought, well, we made it this far, why don't we go all the way? As we started this last leg of the hike, we asked a girl who had just come down from the top how long it would take to get to the top. She said about 2 hours, and we asked another group who said maybe an hour and a half, and that it gets pretty steep with loose rock, but it's doable. And none of these people had crampons on. A couple of days before, when we were on our horseback ride, one of the girls had just come from El Chalten. She went on a guided group for the Laguna de los Tres, and they had to wear crampons because there was still so much snow near the lake. But apparently it had melted enough that we could now just go up in our hiking boots. As we made our way up, the loose rock wasn't that bad, and we were feeling pretty optimistic. The last 0.6 miles were terrible though. Super steep, still snow in parts, slippery, and weird bottlenecks because there were so many people. I couldn't believe how many people were going in sneakers and no poles. This was the one hike for the entire Patagonia trip where I was really glad I had my trekking poles with me. There is no way in hell that I would hike that in just sneakers and without poles. I also noticed that a lot of people don't understand trail etiquette in general, and a lot of people would literally just stop in the middle of a narrow trail to take a break. No moving aside or anything. The last part was very difficult, but the views were so worth it. It was gorgeous. There were a lot of people at the top, and someone even got proposed to while we were there. The way down was just as difficult, and my friend's knee was super aggravated at that point, so she had to go super slow. By the end of the hike, my ankle was about to explode, and I was making audible groans every time we had to take a step down on the trail. As I said in my journal, we were like 2 hobbling old ladies by the time we got back to our place. And since we were not planning on doing a hike that long, all we had eaten was our little sandwiches. We were too tired to cook, so we got pizza in town. $7 for a huge pizza that really hit the spot. The next day, our plans to go kayaking went out the window because we couldn't bear to get to the kayaking place at 8 a.m. We were so tired. So we hit the gas station instead to prepare for our drive the next day back to Puerto Natales. The day before, I had started to worry because I hadn't seen one gas station in town anywhere, and we found out there's only a single gas station just before you hit town, but sometimes they're out of gas, sometimes their card machine doesn't work so you need cash, and sometimes the ATMs are out of cash. When we pulled up, there were 6 cars ahead of us waiting, and thankfully the gas tank truck was there refilling the pump, so we knew at least there would be gas. My friend hopped out and asked the attendant if he took credit card, and he said yes. Woo! And it was only $7.80 to fill up half a tank of gas. After we filled up our tank, we did a gentle 4-mile hike to the Chorrillo waterfalls. It was yet another beautiful day for a hike. Oh shit! They had a cigarette canister near the waterfalls, and the day before we also kept encountering a group of Italians who were smoking on the trail. I really cannot think of anything more incongruous than toxic cigarettes while you're in beautiful, pure nature. The combination just doesn't seem right. You keep seeing this dog, he's like acts very important, like he has places to go, and he's really cute, and he like doesn't pay attention okay, he literally just peed there. He doesn't, see, look at him. He's just like, That's how all the strays here are. They like act like they have really important places to be. I really, really liked El Chaltén. It's so beautiful there, and I just loved how mellow it was. It was all hikers walking around town, and I loved the wooden and metal buildings, the dogs, the nature, the vibe. I would definitely go back, and I would definitely do another Patagonia road trip. Before I went to Patagonia, I always thought it was for extreme outdoor REI, granola, mountaineering type people. But there are a lot of options for whatever activity level you're looking for and other activities besides hiking. In the next episode, I wrap up my Patagonia portion and prepare for my northern Chile road trip. And boy, was that a completely different experience. If you're curious about the northern Chile part, then go ahead and hit subscribe and notify so you know when that comes out. And if you enjoyed this video and this whole Patagonia portion, please give it a thumbs up and I'll see you next time.